Hello students, let's start about literature prose for class 10. Letter to God, written by G.L. Fuentes. Let's start about the character, the central character, you can say Lencho. Lencho's crop was destroyed by heavy rain, so he turned to God for help. He wrote to God a letter asking him to send him money. He received a letter from God along with some money. Who actually sent the money? What did Lencho do then? Let us read the story. So we come to know about Lencho. This story was about an innocent who strongly had faith in God and wrote a letter to God himself. It means we come to know and also came across about the character Lencho who started to write a letter to God. It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted refers suspected, big drips of rain began to fall. In the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be seen approaching. There was fresh and sweet. So, the time has been referred over here during the meal. Northeast huge mountain locations. It's really getting bad now, exclaimed the man, mortified. I hope it passes quickly. It did not pass quickly. For an hour, the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. Cornfield, the cultivated field, agricultural land. The field was white as if covered with salt. Metaphorically used, it suggests the field was white. Here the white converted and it seemed just like a salt covering areas. So the Lancho also clarified over here through the destruction, hail, rain ruined his cornfield. Next, Lencho is a man who devastated because of the hailstorms that hits his farm and ruined almost everything. I have just stated about it. The corn was totally destroyed. The entire agricultural field was totally ruined, spoiled, and devastated due to devastating hailstorms. That night was a sorrowful one, absolutely. The night was truly a lamentful one. All our work for nothing. There's no one who can help us. It suggests Lancho started to think about it. Next slide. Lencho was an ox of a man, working like an animal in the fields. Here, the line working like an animal in the field refers that Lencho was some sort of person looked to be very much diligent, laborious, hard worker. But still he knew how to write. Though he was having such kind of phenomena, diligent, hard worker, laborious, still he knew how to write. A man of literate. Next. Having full faith of God, he then wrote a letter to God. After that, he made sure and started to be a faithful person to God and started to write a letter to God. Next. God, he wrote, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos currency in order to sow the field again. So cultivate, harvest, and to live until the crop comes because the hailstorm. The line refers When Lencho started to write the letter to God and appealed in front of the God and stated that if you don't help me, God, my family and I will go for hungry this year. So the situation remained lamentful for Lencho. Next slide. He wrote to God on the envelope, put the letter inside, and still troubled, looked to be hesitated, troubled, went down. At the post office, he placed a stamp on the letter and dropped it into the mailbox. That he did. The village postmaster opened it and started to read the letter very carefully. Though initially the postmaster did not able to understand what does the mean of this letter, who wrote it, what kind of person Lencho actually the postmaster could not able to understand. But Lencho appealed, pleaded, requested in front of the God, and that's why he could not resist himself. Rather, he wrote a letter to God. Next slide. The postmaster came up with an ideal answer of the letter. But when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it, he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. The postmaster then decided to help him and gathered everyone's money as an act of charity. The line suggests here we come to know about the character of postmaster, who looked to be very much gentle, genial, cordial, supportive, and helpful sort of person. He came up with an ideal answer, suitable answer. As soon as he opened the letter, it was clearly stated, and the postmaster could easily understand, I beg your pardon, could easily understand he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. And finally, the postmaster decided, and the decision was taken by the postmaster to gather everyone's money as a charity. It was really being a part of charity. Next slide. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos requested by Lencho. So he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the bills in an envelope addressed to Lencho, and with them a letter containing only a signature, God. That part is really one of the most interesting part of the said passage. It was quite impossible for him to collect 100 pesos as it was requested by Lencho. So he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. So definitely he was quite able to send the farmer only a little more. After that, what he did, he put the bills in an envelope. He covered the bill in an envelope and he addressed it towards Lencho. And with them a letter containing only a signature, God. That means the entire thing was made by the postmaster. That he did. And he patterned the signature of God and also enlisted on the envelope of that letter. Which letter? That letter was sent by Lencho. Next slide. The following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier. A bit earlier means very early than usual to ask if there was a letter for him or not. It was the postmaster himself who handed the letter to him. Again, a very interesting part of the said mentioned topic. a letter to God. The next Sunday, Lencho came as early as possible, a bit earlier than usual, to ask if there was a letter for him or not, God had sent or not. It was the postmaster himself. Immediately, what he did, he handed the letter to Lencho. Next. Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the bills. Such was his confidence. But he became angry when he counted the money. God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. The referring lines suggest that Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the bills. Such was his confidence. It was in his confidence, in his mind. But he became very angry when he counted the money. When he started to count down the money, he looked to be very much irritated. God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. Then he started to think God could not have made a mistake. It was not a mistake made by the God, what he had requested. Next. Immediately, Lencho went up to the window to ask for paper and ink. After that, suddenly Lencho went up towards the window to ask for paper and ink. He was furious. He looked to be hesitated, made haste, and immediately replied the letter, started to reply the letter. Next. The letter fell into the mailbox. The postmaster went to open it. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. But don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. After that, the letter fell into the mailbox and the postmaster started to open it. And what was the written materials? It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Only 70 pesos, the currency. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. As it was very much needful in front of Lencho. So he started to request in front of the God, send me the rest, God, the rest of money actually. But don't send it to me through the mail, because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. Again, he started to appeal, but don't send it to me through the mail. Why? Because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks according to his point of view. Lencho. Next. That's all. Whatever we have studied right now, we come to know the entire plot constructions, duly centralized and centrifugal, with the character of Lencho. And the most important part, the later episode. That's why the title has been justified, a letter to God. That's all. Have a nice day. Stay well. Thank you.